Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're listening to Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
So, on today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 13 preview. And luckily, this week looks more entertaining than last week. Don't get me wrong, it was still
Pretty competitive.
It was still entertaining last week, but this one has much better matchups, to say the least, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the Packers aren't in it, so that always makes it better for me.
Yes, it'll be very enjoyable. A stress-free football weekend.
Exactly,
for me.
that's always nice. So, a quick update on our NFL head-to-head pick'em game to start it off. Callan made some points up on me last week. He did a little better than I did, and now our total scores are I have 105 and Callan has 96. So I'm only up by 9 now. I had quite a lead at one point, and every week I see it dwindle a little bit. But I still got a little bit of a cushion, so I'm still feeling confident. But we'll move right on into our picks. So first up, we have a divisional matchup with the Colts heading to Houston to take on the Texans. Cal and I both have the Colts in this one, and I actually put them as my lock for this week. And I don't know if it needs much explaining. There's a lot of reasons that you could pick the Colts over the Texans here.
Yeah, the Colts should just, run all over them, literally. They hopefully get back to what they do best and run Jonathan Taylor.
I think after the controversy last week with the not running it, I think they just absolutely pound the rock.
The only thing, divisional game, Houston, divisional game, the teams get up for them. They're coming off a competitive game. They lost a close one to the Jets. I could see the Houston getting up and playing Indy hard on this one. But
I agree. Divisional game in Houston, I can see them making it a close game maybe. I just don't see
but
any
the Colts
reality.
coming off that loss where they were criticized for not running it enough, I feel like they're just going to run all over the Texans.
Everything apart from Jonathan Taylor and Carson Wentz having the worst knee-to-knee on a handoff ever and both having to leave the entire game, I see the Colts absolutely dominating
It
this
could
game.
Definitely happen. I
But
thought of that.
with Wentz's and the Colts' luck, that is a sad possibility, to say the least. But next up, we have another divisional matchup with the Vikings heading to Detroit to take the Lions. And different game, same situation here. Cal and I both have the Vikings. There's a long list of reasons that you can say the Vikings are going to win. Sadly, we'll be out without Dalvin Cook, but I kind of like that because Detroit's secondary is none too good, to say the least. So if we just have a total air raid day and we get to see Kirk Cousins go off for 300 to 400 yards and Justin Jefferson get a 150-yard game, I'm more than happy with that. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, this should be the game that those two really are able to profile themselves. And knowing the Vikings, this could also be Detroit's first win. So,
well, I was gonna let you talk and then say exactly that. It is I wanted to put this as my lock, but I would not be an inch of surprise if Detroit just showed up and beat us for their first win. Because why not? That's just how our roller coaster season has been so far. But being realistic, I think the Vikings pick up.
On paper, the Vikings should handle this one pretty easily.
Agreed. Next up, we have the Giants going to Miami to take on the Dolphins, and I have the Giants in this one, and Callan has the Dolphins. We thought about quick kicking this one towards the end, but one reason I actually want to keep it is because these are both teams who are kind of turning their season around, in my opinion. I mean, Giants coming off that huge divisional win against the Eagles last week, especially with the Cowboys losing. They are more than in it in that NFC East with how bad those four teams consistently are. And then same with the Dolphins. They're not necessarily in it for the AFC East because it's got two very good teams in it with the Bills and the Patriots. But they keep this win streak that they have going up. I want to say they're at 5 straight right now. They got a chance at that 6 or 7 seed in the AFC playoffs.
Yeah, the 7th seed right now is 5 and 6. That's
Exactly.
Washington. And then second place in the NFC East.
AFC. I'm talking about the Dolphins.
Oh, I thought we were talking about
I guess, but yeah, the Giants have just as much as an opportunity.
Yeah.
They both have an opportunity to slip into the 6th or 7th seed.
But yeah, like you were saying though, with the Dolphins, they got the Patriots and the Bills, but that wild card in the AFC is just, it's wild. Literally.
Same with the NFC.
Except for No, it's the Rams that are the top wild card in the NFC.
Correct. Yes.
So I think every AFC wild card is either like 6-5 or 5-6.
Yeah, because even the Bills are a wild card right now, and
they're 8-4.
Yeah,
8-4 is the top wild card, and that's Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is crazy that 8-4 is even a wild card, but you know it happens.
So same thing kind of for the Giants with that NFC East. The Cowboys keep losing. The NFC East is looking more and more like the NFC East of last year, a little bit.
They're slowly declining back into that.
The Eagles are in second place at 5-6 also. Only 2 games behind Dallas, and they still have a game against Dallas.
I think
this season.
Giants are now in second place after beating them because now they have the tiebreaker, if I'm not mistaken.
Are they?
No,
they're a game behind them.
Are they? Okay, but
Giants
still,
are 4-7 now. But
the AFC is wild, the NFC is wild, and I know this is kind of off topic, but I just wanted to mention I have loved the 7th seed in the playoffs. Adding that extra seed and making the first seed so much more important to get that bye. I feel like it has just changed the playoffs and made them so much more exciting to say the least.
It makes it so where at the end of the year, teams will still be playing for something.
Exactly. I'll be interested to see how Tua plays against his, by far in my opinion, his biggest challenge.
Especially during this recent run of success for him. This will be a good test for him.
He's got a good defense. That Giants defense has been able to prove themselves week in and week out. So we'll see how it goes there in Miami. But next up, we have an NFC South divisional matchup with the Bucs heading to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. I have the Bucs in this one, and Callan actually has Atlanta as his upset.
I believe this is the divisional game. This is Atlanta's Super Bowl. This is their chance to possibly avenge Brady from years ago and maybe reverse that curse of 28-3. So I see them. I'm putting it on the just to try to make up some points here. I see Atlanta getting up for this game and it being their best game. Cordero Patterson, the way that he took over that game last week, shows that he's got a lot of confidence going right now, and maybe he could take over it again.
He's a beast. He has been developing into a beast. It's funny to say developing into a beast considering he's been in the league since like 2013 or 2014, but he's really found a home there in Atlanta. A lot of people give other teams crap that had him before, like the Vikings, for not mastering him, but something about what Atlanta has done has really worked for him.
And I thought he did good in Minnesota. He was great kick returner.
Amazing kick returner.
It takes a while to learn the system and all that. They
found his niche. They got that perfect balance between running back and receiving back and true receiver, and mad respect to the Falcons for being able to do that. He's a little older now, of course, which sucks, but they should get a few good years of great talent out of him. The reason I picked the Bucs in this one, a huge reasoning, is one of Atlanta's best weapons, Kyle Pitts, is going to get shut down because the Bucs are one of the only teams in the NFL that I look at their linebacking core and say, wow, both of those guys can go one-on-one with Kyle Pitts and consistently win with Levante David.
Shaq Barrett, Levante David, Devin White.
Devin White, I cannot think of his first name. But it is crazy to see that there. But I see this being almost exactly like the first time they played this year. I see a deja vu moment coming up here in Atlanta, where Atlanta stays in it for most of the game, and then they let one mistake happen, and that just snowballs.
And they quicksand themselves.
Because if you remember, Atlanta was playing the Bucs really close early in the year. I want to say it was like week 3 or 4. And then Matt Ryan threw one pick six, and it just absolutely, the floor fell out from under them, and there was no chance of them winning by the end of it. So I see something very similar to that happening again. Next up, we have the Cardinals heading to Chicago to take on the Bears, and Cal and I both have the Cardinals in this one. They will be getting back Kyler Murray for sure, and I believe Nuke Hopkins as well. Yep. So they are getting back their probably 2 best players on their offense, and they're getting James Conner still, who has been on a roll recently. So now they get to see what Conner can do with those 2 other weapons in the offense, or if he can still hold up when he's not the centerpiece of the offense. But I don't think that will happen. I think Connor will continue to dominate, and I think Kyler and Nuke will both come in and return to what they were earlier in the season. And I feel bad for the Bears because I see a complete domination happening in this game. I think they can maybe kind of keep it close on offense. I think it might be an early shootout where the Cardinals just start obviously pulling away towards the mid-third, start of the fourth quarter. But I just don't really see any case scenarios where the Bears win this game.
Yeah, there could be some rust with Murray not playing for a while, and then Hopkins also same thing. But, yeah, the Bears just kind of seem like a train wreck a little bit. I mean, I know they were able to escape against Detroit, but, I mean, what team beats Detroit on a last-second field goal?
God,
so,
isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, I mean, the Bears, I just don't even know what to say about them.
This team does that.
Yeah, there was another purple team that did that, too. But, I mean, Nagy's obviously out at the end of the year. There were thoughts that he was going to be out after Thanksgiving. I think that he was if it hadn't gotten leaked. Pretty sure Nagy leaked it himself just so that he could be like, oh, what, you guys are just going to fire me on Thanksgiving? What? So that's weird. I don't know how you go through a season knowing, like, yeah, our coach is not going to be here. Like, it's weird to take him serious. I
never thought about that. That's a good point.
It's not like somebody's retiring. He's going to get fired more than likely.
Yeah. It is weird. I
so
guess
how do
I never
you get
really
up and
thought
play
about
for that guy?
Especially when you're already not necessarily out of the playoffs, but when your playoff chances are slim to none. That's a tough thing to do. And the Cardinals are in an opposite position where they're like, holy crap, we got the 1 seed. Mm-hmm. Like, we're in the driver's seat.
They got it, and they have to keep winning to keep it because Green Bay's right on their tail. Green Bay's on their tail. The tiebreaker.
Dallas took that loss now, but they're still in the running up there. Like I said, Khalil Mack being out, there is just so much stacked up against the Bears. I don't see them winning this game.
It looks like they're ready for next year,
which they do got a bright future. I'll give them that, but. Next up, we have the Chargers heading to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Cal and I both have the Bengals in this one. And this is going to be the battle of the 2-star 2020 quarterbacks. So that's going to be cool to see. You're going to have Justin Herbert facing Joe Burrow for, I believe, the first time.
Yep, because pretty sure.
I don't remember if they faced last year, but if they did, I'm sure Burrow was probably already out for the season by that time once they did. So that'll be really cool to see.
Season, but yeah.
But that'll be really cool to see. I'm excited to watch that matchup. These are also two teams who have been very hit or miss so far this season. The Bengals have been a true roller coaster. The Chargers have gone through close loss after heartbreak after close loss. I mean, this should be an entertaining game. I could see this coming out and just being like game of the week. So entertaining to watch, but then at the same time I could see it being a blowout one way or just a boring game overall, a close game that's like 14-17.
I think it'll be an exciting game.
It's such a wild card. Like that makes it even more exciting almost because it could be 17-14 or it could be 44-38 by the end of it. Like you just don't know.
It'll be an exciting game. It's just there's so many different avenues it could take on what kind of exciting game it could be. But you got two young, powerful teams who, like you said, been on a roller coaster season.
Two young, smart coaches,
and that too.
The coaching battle.
Yeah, and these two teams have lost games they're supposed to win, won games they're supposed to lose. So it's funny. These teams are almost kind of identical.
Exactly,
they really are. And just in terms of season and the way they were built and the way they're being built, good running backs, young quarterback, strong receiving core,
decent all around defenses.
The defenses are solid.
They're just the same team. They really are. It's crazy.
And another little interesting note, this is a rematch of the 81 AFC title game known as the Freezer Bowl, which is the true coldest game on record in NFL history. Many people think it was the Ice Bowl of the Packers and Cowboys. That was the coldest game at kickoff. That temperature was 13 below. The temperature of the Cincinnati freezer game was 9 below, but had a wind chill of 38 below. The Bengals obviously won it 28-7, so it wasn't nearly as exciting as the Ice Bowl, so that's part of why it doesn't get talked about. But the connection here is Forrest Gregg. He was the offensive tackle for the Packers in the Ice Bowl, and then he was the head coach of the Bengals for the Freezer Bowl. So Forrest Gregg was in both of the coldest games in NFL history, and he is forever frozen in time in 81.
All I'm saying, if I get tackled in negative 38-degree weather, I'm staying down and letting myself
Oh,
die.
yeah.
Like,
I can't imagine
couldn't
what it
even
was like
imagine.
back then. Even in the 80s when things, now they got those giant coats, those big heater fans.
My God, that
Man,
sounds
that
awful.
just sounds...
But yeah, that Chargers-Bengals game will be one to keep an eye on this week.
We picked Cincinnati, right?
We both picked Cincinnati,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Ravens heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, and Callan and I both have the Ravens in this one. I think Callan put it best in the last episode when he said that the Steelers just look dead. There's nothing there.
Mhm.
Juju's hurt. Ben should have retired last year on a at least reasonable high with the playoff appearance because he's just so clearly not the quarterback he used to be. Najee Harris is one of the few, if only, bright spots on that team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the Ravens are doing any crazy well either, but I think they're better than the Steelers right now, and that's my main reason for picking them.
Yeah, the Steelers, they just look like a team that's just kind of ran their course. Roethlisberger obviously doesn't quite take care of himself the way that Brady and Rodgers does in the offseason, which, he shouldn't have to.
It's all that time in the nightclub bathroom.
I mean, that'll do that, You got TB12 and A12R out here having avocado ice cream and all that, and then you got Big Ben Roethlisberger, in the bathroom with 12 beers and, having a smoking
3
a
girls.
cigarette. Yeah, So, hey, it's a lifestyle. How do you not? I'd say it's more difficult to be like Brady and Rodgers than
Oh, definitely.
Big Ben. We get all that money and fame. You've already won. I mean, you've got multiple rings, multiple Super Bowl appearances. You're damn near guaranteed to be in the Hall of Fame. You're a Pittsburgh great. I mean, I know it's like, what else does Rodgers have to play and Brady, but what does Roethlisberger have left to play for? You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, you can build your legacy by adding more titles and all that, which sounds good, but you also don't want to tarnish it by losing games and looking just like
Exactly. 'Cause
an old redwood tree.
another thing that actually Roethlisberger has that Rodgers and Brady don't have is multiple surgeries on his throwing elbow. I can't even imagine what that'd do. Having
Right,
multiple
just
surgery on
separated
your
his shoulder
elbow
last
and then
year.
trying to throw your ball, like there's just nothing that you can.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think Ben enjoys playing, and that's why he sticks around. And I'd take him as a backup. I'd love to have him on my team.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I don't know if he would want to take a
It's the
backup
sheer
job.
wisdom and experience.
Right, but if he wanted to keep playing, he could still keep playing. But I see Pittsburgh moving on and moving the focal of their offense around Najee Harris. And
I definitely agree. So we get to continue seeing the Ravens have a better record than their team, which is quite annoying, but it happens.
Yeah.
Next up we got the 49ers heading to Seattle to take on the Seahawks, and again, Cal and I both agreed. We both have the Niners in this one. And to be honest, it's kind of a similar situation. I mean, Russell's coming off that bad injury on his ring finger of his throwing hand, I want to say. I can't remember which finger
Yeah.
it is exactly. But that's just a tough injury to come back from. He came back quick. The Seahawks did not look good last week at all, and the Niners had a lot of luck fall in their favor, but I'll give it to them that they looked pretty good last week. Again, kind of like the Texans earlier, it's a divisional matchup. Seahawks are at home, so that might give them some momentum, but there is very few scenarios I see the Seahawks winning here. Even without Debo, I think that the Niners offense will do enough to get past that Seahawks defense, and I think that the Seahawks offense will just kind of continue to prove that they're not as elite as they once were.
no, and it's really almost baffling. They got star wide receivers in Lockett and Metcalf, and it seems like Wilson has no chemistry with either one, which is insane because Lockett has been his guy for a few years
So
now.
long.
The running game, yeah, Chris Carson's been hurt, but they got quite a committee there with Alex Collins, DJ Dallas. The offensive line has always been a problem in Seattle. They've
The
never
offensive line
really
is
focused on the offensive line.
Bad.
And for a lot of years, they were able to, how do I put it?
Have skill position talent cover that up.
Had it have enough of a bandage that it covered it up with a strong defense, very solid offense, and the defense is obviously way fallen off that plateau. And yeah, so that hole just gets bigger and bigger as you take the bandages away, So with Russ and Carroll unknown on their futures, it's weird. It almost seems like a more awkward situation in Seattle than in Green Bay. And who would have thought that at the start of the season? Like, it seemed like Rodgers wasn't even going to play this year, and now it's like, shit, he might come back next year, and now he might come back. We might keep him for a while, and it seems like Russ is just already on his way out. Seems like Carroll might be done. Seattle might be looking for a rebuild.
Seattle kind of reminds me of the Rams in the fact that they have like 3 or 4 elite players on offense, 3 or 4 elite players on defense, or like 2 or 3 on defense, but then just nothing behind that. So
yeah, besides Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, you got Adams and Wagner on defense,
who we're finding out is not that great of a safety.
Well, because he's just not a safety. He's a linebacker.
He's a great player, but yeah.
Isaiah Simmons was an awful safety for the Cardinals last year, and look at how he hasn't done amazing, but look how well he's done as a linebacker for the Cardinals this year. Yeah. So moving on, we got another divisional matchup this week with the Broncos heading to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Callan has the Chiefs on this one, and I actually took the Broncos, which I've been kind of sticking with the Chiefs recently, and I'd kind of given up on the Broncos. But that defense just looks good, man. They are shutting out teams left and right, and I don't think they will shut out the Kansas City Chiefs by any means, because I know it's been rough for them this season, but if you look at it, they still have elite players left and right on that offense, and they seem to finally be kind of getting it together each week, doing a little better. But I see a close game in this one, and I see the Broncos doing just enough on offense and the defense holding that Chiefs offense just enough to actually pick themselves up a win in Kansas City.
Well, the Chiefs are back, right? They had that one half where Mahomes was able to launch it up, and Chiefs players were coming down with it instead of the opposing team. So
the Chiefs of the past.
Yeah, so obviously it means the Chiefs are back. They're able to throw up that bullshit and work. So, we'll see if that still works. If it was a great time for them to get it back and then go to the bye. So, lose any of that momentum you had.
My favorite meme was the 2019 meme of the picture of Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball. It just says, Tyreek's down there somewhere.
Now it's Lamar and Mark Andrews is down there.
Exactly. But it was just so true. It was so spot on. That's what their offense was. It cracked me up every time I saw it. That should be another very fun game to watch.
No, it seems like Denver wins the games they're not supposed to and loses the games they're supposed to win.
And it seems like for their defense to do well, they just have to go against a really freaking good offense.
Right. So
that seems to be the only time they really.
And I don't know. So I was really deciding on that. So it's like, okay, so this is a game they're supposed to win or supposed to lose. And the more and more I thought, I was like, they should win this game, which made me lead to picking the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly. So next up, we have another great matchup and another divisional matchup in the AFC East this time. We got the Pats heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills. I have the Bills in this one, and Callan has the Patriots.
Yeah, it just seems like Mac Jones is the guy. I talked a little bit about last episode how he's got that same trait of Brady of the photographic memory, and that him and Belichick go over pictures of defenses the night before, and is able to be like, okay, identify what a defensive set will look like and what play is going to run out of it, and that's the kind of stuff Rodgers does too. He's got that photographic memory, so that seems to really be a very valuable unknown trait for a quarterback, is that photographic memory.
I had never heard that, but it makes sense.
Your ability to just recall instances from past situations and past games. Be like, okay, I remember what this looked like so many games ago. And this is what they did. It doesn't get talked about enough. Everybody looks at the physical traits, but the mental traits of a quarterback are, I think, the most important on the field, minus the head coach. So, that being said, and Mac Jones really seeming to latch on to what Belichick is doing and buying in, that's scary because apparently he did the same thing in Alabama. And he was on the scout team behind Tua and Jalen. So he only started the 1 year, his senior year. But every other year, prior to that, he was on the scout team running these, plays against Alabama's starting defense. So he practiced most games against a starting NFL defense because a lot of Alabama's NFL players
if you look
end up in the NFL.
Look up Alabama's 2016, 2017 depth charts, it's an NFL
It's
roster.
Basically
it's
an NFL
insane.
team.
It is absolutely insane to look up their
And
depth
you know
chart.
what? They won national titles, and you think, all those players are going to be NFL superstars, but college, the NFL is different. Not all of them become superstars. Some of them end up in jail.
That's the sad reality. That's very true.
And we'll stop there because I think we know where we're going.
I got
at 156.
I got the Bills in this. At 156, Jesus.
That was bad.
That
was bad.
I got the Bills in this one because I think the Patriots taking the AFC East division is going to be a huge wake-up call for them, and they're now going to look at it and realize we got 2 head-to-head games with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're not winning this division. We are a better team than we've been playing.
Everybody thought this was Buffalo's year.
Yeah.
Patriots are down. This is Buffalo's chance. And New England shows up with, hey, we got another Brady guy.
Exactly. They're going to look at that. They're going to look at that and say, no, not at all.
So, yeah.
We are taking this back.
I could see Buffalo being like, no, this is our year to win it. God damn it. You can have the next 20 years because I see you're gonna. Just let us have this one first.
I'm not that high on Mac Jones yet. He's earned my respect, but I still have questions about it.
I do too, but with that coaching, if he's with Belichick,
that's true. As long as Belichick's there.
It's done.
So, moving on to our quick kicks now. We're going to start with the Thursday night game this week of the Cowboys going to New Orleans to take on the Saints. I have the Cowboys in this one. Callan has the Saints. I think the Cowboys are going to be pissed after that loss. I think that they did not like that they lost that game. They probably shouldn't have lost that game. They're going to be getting guys like CD back. I think they might be getting one of their offensive linemen back. I'm not sure exactly which one. Maybe Smith. Micah Parson has been a beast week in and week out. He's pretty much already cemented himself as Defensive Rookie of the Year. I see CD having a huge game. I bet he did not like missing last game. With Amari still being out, he's going to be that true wide receiver 1. The Saints secondary is okay, but nothing overly special. They got a lot of guys who are still kind of young and developing. So watch for CD to have a huge game this week. And I think that he could pretty much single-handedly take them to a win, considering the Saints offense hasn't been able to prove themselves to do anything.
So I don't know if there's a COVID outbreak in Dallas.
I did see that
McCarthy's out along with 8+ players, and I haven't gotten to see if there's anything new today. And then the Saints are probably going to make a switch at quarterback. Kamara and Ingram are still questionable. So I think that for a Thursday game, let's send this bad boy to London. Because we're sending a couple of B squads over there. You got half the team covered in COVID in Dallas. You got the other half in New Orleans who's injured. So we're throwing a bunch of people that no one's heard of.
We're sending this prime time game
across
London,
the pond,
baby.
And hopefully Dallas can get through customs with that whole COVID trouble.
Nah, they won't be able to. They're not going to let them on the plane.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
But we'll try to send them to London because I think this one's going to be an awful game. Because of the lack of star players, the people missing, the coach being missed.
I could very
It's
much
going to be
see
a
that.
clusterfuck of a game, and I'm pretty sure of it.
Next up, we got the Eagles heading to New York to take on the Jets. Cal and I both have the Jets in this one. And the Eagles have kind of been on a roll, but then they hit an absolute brick wall in New York going against that Giants defense. I could very much see the Eagles winning this game. But in New York, it's the Jets. Zach Wilson is kind of on a high after getting his first win as... No, not his first win as a starter, but getting his first pretty good-looking win as a starter. I think he'll have a nice confidence boost from that. I see Elijah Moore absolutely destroying that Eagles defense, even though it's pretty good. I just see the Jets picking up a win here.
Yeah, Zach Wilson actually beat the Titans first.
Oh yes, he did. That was his,
so,
yeah.
you know,
'Cause why not?
You know, the number one team in the AFC at one point. But yeah, they look good. They look pretty good against Houston, and winning builds confidence.
Very
And man, we can just get on a roll. And I see the Jets, especially with Salah. Salah's a high energy guy, and you get on a roll. He's not quite as high energy as MCDC. I mean,
Who is
right? But who is? So you get him on a roll, and I think he could really build some confidence there. That was one thing I noticed with Gase is that even when they would win a game, you could never tell. You could never tell when they won and when they lost. He always seemed to have that same stoicness to it, and sometimes that's good, but Jets are a really young team. You need that energy.
Yeah.
You need that coach who's gonna be the rah-rah, and he's gonna be the guy. You've seen him in San Francisco. He would get so pumped up, and I'm sure he's just
losing on that side.
yeah. So I think you get him, get him going and get that energy. Positive energy is very infectious, and hey, you keep the good times rolling if they can go. So I could see the Jets definitely pulling an upset here. Now that they've got a really strong win, they got their young quarterback in. The quarterback is supposed to be the future, winning the game, so there's none of that controversy.
We'll see if Zach Wilson or Kyle Wilson show up.
Yep, it all depends which one.
Next up, we got the Jags heading to LA to take on the Rams. Callan has the Rams as his lock, and I have the Jags as my upset this week. So for our head-to-head game, this is going to be a big swing game.
We just added a little extra spice to this game.
Yeah,
Make it a
exactly.
little more entertaining because I see the Rams just blowing the shit out of the freaking Jaguars here. The Rams have lost 3 in a row. They were at one time the top of the NFC. Now it looks like they could fall to a wild card and stay in a wild card. And if they lose 4 in a row to the lowly Jaguars, I think the bottom could fall on that team. Stafford is beat up. He looks like he's starting to look like Stafford of Detroit, which just goes to show that you can take Stafford out of Detroit, but you just can't take the Detroit out of Stafford.
Exactly.
He was just there too long.
So my main thing, I'm not going to lie, my main thing for this game is it would be very beneficial for the Rams to lose this to an AFC opponent because that'll help the Vikings' playoff chances just in case the Rams keep losing. But now thinking about it, the last time that Jags defense faced an elite offense was the Bills when they held to 6 points and no touchdowns. So, let's see if they can do it again, I guess. Let's see if they can do it again.
They get up for the powerful teams, maybe.
Maybe that's what it is. I'd love to see it. It really help the Vikings out. I know I'm not overly confident in it actually happening.
I didn't think about that, but that is a good point. They were able to shut down the Bills,
who
are mainly a passing team, like the Rams. Don't have much of a running game and a pretty weak offensive line. I'm not sure how strong Buffalo's offensive line is, but I watched that Rams game.
They're both, yeah.
That interior and even their tackles. Rashawn Gary just kicked the shit out of Andrew Whitworth.
Well, they're so old. They're all so old.
And that the middle is kind of young, and I didn't really recognize the names.
Yeah.
So it's like, Kitty Clark, he owned all 3 of them. I mean,
as long as Urban can stay out of the nightclubs, they'll be good.
Kenny Clark was splitting double teams.
Was he?
Yeah, so I don't know either. They don't have a very good tandem block, or Kenny Clark's just that fucking good.
He's good.
What am I
really
saying?
Good. So finally, for our final game, we got the Washington football team heading to Oakland to take on the Raiders. I have the Raiders in this one, and Callan has the football team.
Yeah, Taylor Heineke. Oh boy, the gunslinger. He's the only one left in the NFL. It's a dying breed. I like it, and I think that the Raiders seem to... They're just kind of doing that. They have a really good game, and they got a kind of a stinker, and then they show up and have a really good game. And it's like, what is this team?
Just inconsistency across the NFL.
And I think that's the coaching. Richie Beyonce, he's a new coach. He's a great guy. I think his players love him, but coaching's hard, especially when you've never done it and you've done it suddenly. You're doing it unexpectedly. You're facing Ron Rivera, who's a great veteran coach, and is much smarter than McCarthy. So he will, I think, learn to outcoach him, and yeah, I just think that Heineke will
Yeah.
We'll gunsling them past.
This was a total toss-up game for me. I really
Kind of a
struggled to
toss-up
pick
one,
this
yeah.
one. I really like the football team. I really like the Raiders, both as a team right now, even though they both have a lot of outside factors that are kind of troubling them. But I don't know. I just think Derek Carr has that will to win. So does Heineke. They're very similar teams, to be completely honest.
Mhm.
I hate to use this excuse again because there is more factors in this game for my picking. But again, it'd be really beneficial for the Vikings if the football team could lose this
That's
game.
what you're basing your pick off. All right, I'm changing mine to the Bears then. Because it would help the Packers if the Cardinals lost to the Bears.
Well, no, I mean, if it's a toss-up, might as well give myself more of a reason to root
That's
against
true.
them. So,
The Cardinals-Bears is not a toss-up.
so we'll
Cardinals
just,
should have that thing done by halftime.
we'll just let's go Rick Beyonce.
Ricky Beyonce.
So that was our NFL Week 13 preview. Those are our predictions. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, don't forget
To eat the W.